Right, people, be honest. How many times have you said, I'll cook something healthy later, and then just grabbed a dodgy takeaway instead? Look, it happens to the best of us. But that's why I've been using Huel Black Edition. Yes, because I don't always have time to meal prep, but still, I want a high protein meal. I've actually been using Huel for a while now, and it's a game changer. This stuff right here, 40 grams of protein per serving, all the right nutrients, and it's plant-based too. And it takes, 30 seconds to make. Done, back to business. I usually use it in the mornings when I'm rushing to the studio or post-gym when I've got zero time and zero energy left. Chocolate's the one for me. Come on, you know we like chocolate. But there's 9 different flavors, so whatever your vibe, you'll find one. So if you're trying to eat cleaner without messing up your schedule, Huel Black Edition is the move for you. New customers, you can visit huel.com/invincible today and use code INVINCIBLE to get £10 off your first order in the UK or 15% in the US. Big up to Huel for sponsoring this video.
Hi and welcome along to the Invincible podcast with my man Lee Judges in the building. Big up to yourself. We got the Huel there. Hey, it's heavy as well, isn't it?
Yeah, like a powder one, like, you know.
Yeah, I'll get your hands off, you know.
No, I've got to take one of them home. Like. I've got chocolate today.
Chocolate, strawberry and banana. I tried this one the other day.
I've never had the chocolate one.
I've had the chocolate one, it's nice.
Is it?
Is it strawberry and banana? What do you reckon? Better than the other one?
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Do you know what? I'm not a lover of like chocolate milkshakes and chocolate cake and all that. Like, just I like chocolate as chocolate. That ain't bad.
Good. But anyway, welcome along to the show today.
Need something to pick me up.
We had the game, Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. It was like a training game, Lee. It was like a training game. And I don't know, like, he was pretty scathing after the game. It finished 2-2, of course. Arsenal leading twice in the game and conceding 2 very sloppy goals. The first one, you know, nobody picks up Eze, the best player for Crystal Palace. No, they just leave him on the edge of the box. The most skillful player, possibly even on the pitch. One of the most skillful players in the Premier League who we know could volley it from outside the box. Nobody picks him up. He's just there with the freedom of the Emirates to hit in. It was still a good finish and beat Raya. And then the second goal, gifted to them on a plate by William Saliba, another one. He did that the other day against Real Madrid. And it ends up being 2-2. On the positives, good game by Kivior, scored as well. Great header by him. That was good to see. And Trossard scoring again. But a very... listen, it's obvious that those players, those Arsenal players, have got one eye on Tuesday night, the big game against PSG. You could see players there trying not to get injured. I mean, Saka came on. He didn't try to go past a player once.
No.
I mean, he nearly scored, to be fair. But he didn't attempt it, did he? He was like, there were players just managing that game.
Yeah.
Declan Rice, he's like, I said last night, it was like, he just kept a low profile in the game. So it was like, let me just keep myself out of trouble, keep away from injuries. I was a bit scathing as well after the game. I thought it was very unprofessional, but I've woken up this morning and I've thought about it and I'm like, was I a bit too harsh? Because I get it. Players are thinking about Tuesday. But what did you make of it?
I get it. I do get it. Listen, I find it very, very difficult to criticise any of those players and the team manager and that after the week we've just had against Real Madrid and Ipswich. You can put into that as well. Like, I find it very, very difficult. But if you're taking it into the context of the game, you summed it up fantastically well. Unprofessional. You know, we should not be unprofessional. Like, you know what I mean? People have paid a lot of money to go to watch that game. You know,
and it was full. Like,
was full.
You know, loads of people saying, "Oh, it's going to be." I've heard it's going to be half empty. I hear this all the time. It weren't.
It was full.
Weren't half empty. It was full.
It was full. So people have spent their money. I do expect to be entertained. You know what I mean? The result and the way it went and all that, like, I'm not worried about the result and whatever, but I do expect to see a bit of football, bit of where I see nothing yesterday.
You did see 2 goals.
I see 2 goals, which
4 goals in total.
Yeah, but what I did see was a team that's got a semi-final in 3 days want it a lot more than us, a lot more aggressive than us.
Way more.
And at the end of the day, I look at it and I think to myself, well, you know, Palace, that's just as big a game in the context of where they are than with ours. But so from that point, very, very disappointing. I have to say, as a professional footballer, you know, when I play football, when you play football, if I stand on the edge of the box, there's always someone there. Never no one on you. Like, that's just really just poor play. You know what I mean? I thought David Raya summed up everything yesterday. Like big, you know, like, listen, he's won everybody over with his performances, but he wasn't up for it yesterday. You could see that, and the performance of it showed, you know, sloppy and everything. That lots of things that he's done. He's been fantastic for us this season. Saliba, because he's not quite on it, sloppy. He knows if he makes that mistake, they ain't going to drop him for the next game. Kivior may be different, you know, so he's got to be on point, and he was. But the likes of Timber knows he's going to be playing whatever happens. Partey knows Rice knows he's going to be playing. Saka and Martinelli know that they're going to be playing. You know, Trossard's not so sure. So
he played better than the others.
Played better than the others. It's funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, as you said, with Kivior as well.
Raya knows he's going to play, like you said.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So they all know that they're going to play. But so from that point of view, very, very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. I want to make excuses for the team. I want to make excuses. One excuse is that we're going to goal up, so do we have to really push anything for it? It went 2-1 up. Do we have to really go for it? I felt we showed a little bit more intent when it went 2-2. But all in all, you know, it was a hard watch. And then, you know, like 5:30 against Bournemouth in between these 2 games, and that, like, really?
That won't be easy.
Won't be easy. And we need...
That's why they should have tried to win that game yesterday, because then if you really want to rest players... It's that Bournemouth game.
Well, but at the end of the day,
you know,
played everybody.
You could have a very, you know, we're going to have a very difficult second leg.
Yeah, but that was the thing yesterday, which I'm pretty sure he'd be disappointed about, which is what I'm disappointed. He didn't really rest hard anybody, did he? You know, like, give me a logical reason why Martinelli's played 90 minutes in that game, Rice has played 90 minutes in that game, Saliba's played 90 minutes in that game. You know, one of the reasons is that we haven't got enough players deep in the squad, and that's where we've got to strengthen the squad. I think the 11's good, but we've got to be looking at that. And I just think that at the end of the day, if you're going to play that stronger side, you have to go and win the game, Rob. You have to go and perform, because they didn't. But listen, we had the same conversation against Everton and the same conversation against Brentford, and then they went and produced 2 unbelievable performances against Real Madrid. So you got to think that they're going to do that again on the Tuesday. And if they do, we won't even think about this game.
We won't even care. I think, do you know what it is, right? I think you saw the 2 teams, right? Like you said, both of those 2 teams faced the same challenge.
Yeah.
Right? When you put it into context of things. Crystal Palace in the semi-finals of the FA Cup, huge, absolutely huge for them. They could go to a final. They could win their first trophy. I don't even know if they've won a trophy before.
No, never won one.
Yeah, so absolutely massive for them. And then, of course, we got a semi-final. Absolutely massive for us. Champions League, could we win it for the first time, right? However, I think what we saw yesterday with Palace is they've had 3 games since they got to the semi-finals, and they did exactly what we've seen in Arsenal, right? The previous 3 games up before that, they went to Manchester City, went 2-0 up, just took their foot off the gas, thought it was the whole thing, ended up conceding 5 because capitulated. They then capitulated against Newcastle, and then at the weekend they had a really drab 0-0 draw. I think that was against Bournemouth? But they had a drab 0-0 draw.
Someone sent off, And
I feel that it's obvious that their manager has got into them and said, yo, listen, if you guys go out there and put in them same sort of performances like that, you ain't playing in no semi-final. You're out. And probably there's more players there that are a bit more It's not nailed on that they're going to. So you saw them. They were right from the start. They were aggressive. They were putting it in. Even sort of surprised me a bit. Whereas in the Arsenal team now, like you just pointed out, right? They had the 4-0 win, right, against Ipswich. But as you just pointed out, there's a lot of players there that they're playing next week. Raya's playing next week. Saliba's playing. Timber, Lewis Skelly. I mean, literally all of those players know that next week they're playing, because even players that could have pushed them, they're injured. You know what I mean? So you could have, say, for instance, had a Calafiori that could have but he's out. You know what I mean? You could have had like a couple of,
Jorginho in midfield.
Yeah, Jorginho could be pushing this and that. All of those players, they've got no chance of making it. So those guys know they're playing. So you just had guys that were just like, I ain't getting injured in this game. I'm not going to try and run past certain players because I don't want to, like, maybe Saka's thinking, I remember Sunday. That tackle, I could have been out. So when I go on, and it may even have been an instruction, when you go on, nothing stupid, just manage the game. So when he's up against, picks the ball up and he's up against 3 players, he's thinking, you know what, let me just pass it off. That's what I saw a lot of that. However, there's certain players there, like Raheem Sterling, for instance, right? You are not going to be playing next week. So that was your opportunity to say to the manager, hey, don't forget me, Don't forget me, I can play. And he didn't do nothing either.
No.
So it's a very disappointing performance. And then also, I think, in a weird way, it might have been a good thing, that performance and what happened yesterday. Just a little reminder,
a little reality check
to those players, right? That if you think, just because you beat Real Madrid over 2 legs, don't think you're, was it Billy? Yeah, Billy Big Balls, right? Because we beat Real Madrid over 2 games. If you don't get the fundamentals right, you will lose games. You'll make mistakes. If your concentration levels are not where it ought to be. I think maybe that might have been a better thing than them just going and sweeping our side Palace 5-1, like what we did when we played in the previous at their place. Because the mind now, I feel, is going to be focused. Saliba's going to wake up and thinking, it's embarrassing, that mistake I made, man. I got to cut this out. You see, when Tuesday comes, I got to be absolutely on it. Because you think about the 2 mistakes he made. The one at Real Madrid. We scored now. Now all of a sudden they got to score 4, euphoria, everyone's there. He lost concentration. That's why that goal happened. That's why he made that mistake. But all throughout the game, he didn't make nothing like that. Think about when he made that mistake. And then yesterday now, like you said, 2-1, pretty cruising. It's a bit of a walk in the park. Total lack of concentration. Just passes it to one of their players, to Mateta. Totally lost concentration.
Can I ask though, is Raya at fault for playing left back?
He does it every week.
Oh no, but like he's 2-1 up.
That's where, to be honest, right? When Saliba picks up the ball, it's under no threat.
Yeah, I know. It's just Saliba's fault.
They did it at Ipswich. They did it against Real Madrid. They do it every week like that. The fault is with Saliba. He's completely lost concentration, and then it's a great finish.
Yeah,
He's completely lost concentration. So it's a reminder.
Yeah, you got to be on it. I totally agree. Like, if you're not on it, that's what can happen. And I think that there is something in that. What disappoints me about, people have turned around and said like, oh, this is the attitude. Like, you brush it aside. This is why Arsenal are never going to be no good, because you let these things go. Listen, we wouldn't be letting it go if we weren't in the Champions League semi-final. Like, there'd be a lot on going on at this moment in time. You have to look at it from the context.
Yeah, the context, you've got to look at it.
You have to look at it from that. Like, but what I would say is, if you're not on it, that is what can happen. And at the end of it, I have to say this: I thought Crystal Palace were a far better team than us yesterday. I thought that they deserved more than what they got out of it.
They could have won the game.
I think they could have done.
Oh, Kivior was brilliant. Remember that block he did for Eddie as well?
I don't know about if it was where you seen, but around us, we were saying this is coming. You could sense it was going to come. Like, we're going to score again. Like, I think if their goalkeeper makes a wonderful save from Saka, if we go and win that 3, it would have been a little bit unjust. But it just shows you if you're not at it, and I'll go from the goalkeeper to the midfield to the forwards, you'll get found out. The biggest worry for me now is Martin Odegaard. It is now becoming a concern because I thought he'd done all right.
Played all right against Ipswich.
Done well against Ipswich, 10 men and everything like that.
Had an assist last night.
And for the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought he played well in Real Madrid. People criticised him. I actually watched that game back.
Played well in Madrid.
I thought he'd done well in Madrid.
Right.
But yesterday again, he's just give the ball away in the first 5 minutes. Very, very lucky to get away with it. He's got, for me, I think if Arsenal are to win the Champions League, he's got to be on top form.
Yeah.
Got to be on top form. I think he's a fantastic player, skill-wise and everything like that. I think his quality, there's something missing in his game.
Yeah, I think yesterday he's the sort of player who will get affected a lot in a game like that with no intensity. Because I think he's a guy that he likes a high tempo, all action game because that's kind of how he plays, and that sort of drab And yeah, I mean he weren't great yesterday either. He was poor. He was poor yesterday.
I've also one thing I've got to bring up. Bit of controversy. The goal that disallowed. Come on. I think at the end of the day, I honestly think at the end of the day they thought it was offside. Right?
No, it weren't offside.
No, but they did it at the time, and I think like the people, because he put the flag up, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think like a couple of those Crystal Palace players stopped, and Martinelli taps it in, and then when they've looked back at it, they've gone, "Oh my God, he's onside," and it ain't conclusive that ball went out.
Yeah,
100%. But they said it was out. I think that they thought, well, we've got to disallow this goal because he's put his flag up. Players have stopped.
Because I saw the goalkeeper Dean Henderson saying that at the time. He's going, I stopped.
Yeah.
Which he didn't. He hadn't stopped.
No, but I think the two defenders did on the line, and Martinelli tapped it in.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that they thought, it's going to be offside, and then they looked at it and weren't. And they thought, we've got to do something about this. Like, it's out. It won't, they couldn't find that when we played at Newcastle that time, could they? They couldn't find any evidence on that, but they found some camera angle to say that had gone out. I've seen it a few times. I'm not convinced that you can turn around and say that. When they've turned around and saying that Newcastle one, no, there was a little bit of the ball still on and all that. Like that. Same as that one.
Yeah.
It wasn't conclusive, like, you know what I mean?
I think now they've got to bring in that Hawkeye technology, like what they have in tennis.
Yeah, on the lines.
Right across the line, because we've had a few of those now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It keeps coming up all the time, and it's very difficult for a linesman to know exactly, especially when it's sort of high.
Yeah. I'm not convinced. They showed you
technology in.
I was watching. Funny enough, it was on Sky yesterday. There was or saying I was watching. I can't remember what I was watching. It come up, might have been on YouTube or so. I can't remember what it was. They showed the semi-final against Arsenal and Man City, when we beat them at Wembley. And we're 1-1 and the ball goes across the line and they score, Man City. Like, I've looked at it 100 times. That ball doesn't go out completely, like, you know what I mean? But there's no technology in there. I honestly think yesterday they thought, we've made a mistake here, but we've got to get out here. We can say that ball was out. I don't think it was. I think the right decision because the players did stop. But I think because they've stopped, therefore we're in a bit of trouble here. I'd like to see what really happened there because I'm not convinced that ball went out. But listen, it don't really in the context it don't matter. But the atmosphere like yesterday weren't good, was it?
It was terrible.
I've got to say that's the first time I've heard players talking on the pitch.
Yeah,
I could hear players talking on the pitch. Hold it, do this, do that.
Really
I've never heard that at the Emirates before, and I'm back a little bit and all. So the ones that near would have seen it, and that's the first time we've been outsung.
Yeah,
by an away crowd this season.
No,
everybody wasn't.
It won't be that on next week Tuesday.
No, it won't be.
It won't be that.
But I have to. So I'm going to hold up my hands and say, look, I wasn't into the game yesterday. I wasn't interested. You know what I mean? I was watching the game. Every time Rice made a run, you'd think, don't pull an hamstring like same with Martin. I didn't enjoy the game yesterday because of that.
Nor did I. It didn't seem like a real game. It did seem like a training game.
Yeah.
It did seem like that.
I've seen better pre-season games than that.
I have, yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's true because they weren't going in full-blooded Arsenal players. You could see it. You could see it. But listen, if we beat PSG, nobody cares about that game. That's the reality.
It's the reality because no one cares about Everton and Brentford, and they were as worse than that. If I'll be honest.
Yeah, and now Liverpool 1 point and they won the league. They played Tottenham on Sunday. They win the league. I mean, it is disappointing.
That's the big disappointment.
13
for me.
Drawn games.
That's the big disappointment for me.
13. I was thinking about it today. 13 points, right?
Well,
no, but what I'm saying, 13 points, right? Because 13 drawn games, 13 points, right? Remember, when you draw a game, it's only a third of what you would have got if you won a game. So what would that have equated to? If we could have converted even half of those into wins. They've got to go and get a striker in the summer, and they've got to find a way to beat these low blocks. Because that was the other thing last night as well.
Oh, it's clueless.
It was 5 at the back from Palace, low block. And we couldn't break it down. We moved the ball way too slowly. Although we did break it down twice in reality, but I'm just like, I don't know struggling against them low block teams.
Can you say this without? I don't want to be critical about it, like, you know what I mean. But we're overcoached.
Yeah,
we're so well coached.
Yeah, I've said it, Lee. That
no one's allowed to improvise in the game.
Yeah.
Like there was a couple of times he's telling people, "Don't go here, don't go." Let them play. Yeah. They're professional footballers.
Do you know what it is, right? And I've said this from the other day, that how we play, it works perfectly in the Champions League.
Yeah.
That well-coached, well-organised, well-oiled machine, take patience, patiently break a team down. It's made for the Champions. That's why we've done so well in the Champions League.
Yeah.
In the Premier League, where you come up against so many teams that like what Palace do, like what Everton did, like what Brentford did, like where they're well organised, it doesn't always work, because if they'll just these teams just come for a draw. A lot of times they're happy, and we don't seem to be able to break them down. We lack that ruthless cutting edge. That's something that we have to sort out for next season. But in the Champions League, it works. That patient, the way we were patient in that second leg. That's why I knew we were not going to concede.
He was very, very confident.
I was confident because I'm watching our Arsenal play all season. He ain't conceding 3 goals in no Bernabeu. I don't care if it's the Bernabeu. Because I've seen Arsenal do that all season. They can keep the ball. They're disciplined. Everybody knows where to go. If it comes down to that, where it's just a disciplined performance, we're really, really good at it. If it's now go all gun-ho, try and get it, we're not as good at it.
No, it's a great point. And you have a look at it, we haven't lost to teams in the top 6 or top for a long while. Newcastle obviously are in there now. But other than that, in the league, I'm saying, we drop points. How many home points have we dropped against teams that are doing that low block?
Yeah.
It's something that they've got to
look at that
because that's the running theme over the last 3 years of everything that we've done. As good as what we've been, our home form was against low block teams has not been good enough,
and it's cost us.
It cost us last season. It cost us the season before, and it's cost us this season as well.
And I just feel, like you said, it's too much control, too much players just like robotic. Yeah, and if it's very difficult to break teams down like that. You've got to have a little bit of individual, and if Saka's not in there, it's even harder because he is that one player. So, or if Odegaard's not firing, those two are not firing, then they're breaking down.
A little bit of a worry for me is I see Wanyeri come on yesterday and just didn't do anything like these Maverick sort of stuff. Is he being out coached not to do it now? It's a bit of a worry for me.
Well, he's sort of playing in midfield, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he's just got the ball and just done exactly what what's said on the tin. It wasn't going past players or whatever. Listen, you know, they made it very, very difficult, but that's something that they've got to sort out for next season.
Definitely.
Whether it is a striker or two number 10s in that position or whatever, like, because I looked at it yesterday and I'm just thinking, you know, how many times did Saliba pass to Kivior and Kivior pass it back?
Yeah.
It must, you know what I mean? It must have been 100 times each. You know what I mean? Like, and then it goes to the fullback and comes back. Like, you know, and if you're a team like Crystal Palace, you're rightly saying, like, particularly those teams at the bottom where a point away at the Emirates is a priceless point.
Yeah.
We're happy for you to do that.
Yeah.
We're happy for you to do that.
Whereas in the Champions League, it works perfectly.
Yeah, and I think with the Champions League, the team is a little bit more adventurous because they're a good team. I don't think Paris
because the
Saint-Germain
teams you come up against are more adventurous. So they're gonna have their time when they're gonna try and, you know. And with Arsenal's star, they just pick them off.
And that's why we do well against the top teams in the Premier League.
Yeah,
because
and why we did so well against Real Madrid, and because we're very disciplined in our plays. It's very, very, very organised. That player the other day, I think it was, is it Oleina from Forest? He said that when you play Arsenal's like a PlayStation.
Yeah,
he goes, it's not like the way they're playing. He wasn't dissing Arsenal. He's just saying. He goes,
I think it is a compliment.
He goes, they just keep passing it. Like, he goes, you can't get near it. You can't get the ball.
The other thing I think we've got to take into context, and that's why I'm not going too mad about it, is that PSG had a bad result at the weekend. Inter Milan yesterday had a bad, you know what I mean, like Barcelona.
They've all got one eye.
They've all got one eye on this, you know. So even, you know, like I see that, and this is a funny thing in football now. I see that AC Milan, which is like Milan, Milan, it's like Arsenal and Spurs playing each other. AC Milan have beaten 3-0, and I just thought, like, you know, they've got the semi-final next week, like, you know. So I'm thinking that for them, but when it's my team, I'm thinking, no, that ain't good enough. We've got to do a little bit this and a little bit that.
Yeah.
So I do think we've got to.
Got to put it in context.
We've got to put it in context of what it is. 100%.
I got a question for you, right? Because this news broke yesterday, and it was from David Ornstein. Let me see if I can find it, right? He tweeted out this, right? He said, Arsenal want Thomas Partey to stay, plus are in talks over a new contract. The 31-year-old midfielder is happy at Arsenal and family is enjoying London life. The Ghana international is open to an improved two-year deal or a 1+1 year. Will consider alternative options if agreement cannot be struck. Also was reading where, you know, Andrea Berta is playing a big part in this. Obviously, Berta would know Thomas Partey from his time at Atletico Madrid. Thomas Partey, obviously contract up at the end of the season. Would you give him a new 2-year contract, which is what he really wants, or a year contract, you know, that where you can add another year, option to add another year? Would you do that? I mean, the other thing is to say is that lots and lots of reports out there that the Zubimendi deal's already been done.
Yeah. That
even though he's not been announced and you hear rumours of Real Madrid and that, the rumour is that has been done. I saw Edu the other night and I was going to ask him it, but it was, where we were, it was really noisy. So I didn't get a chance to ask him. He was in very good spirits, by the way. But Thomas Partey, would you keep him? Would you give him another 2-year deal?
No brainer.
No brainer for you?
Yeah,
okay.
No brainer for me. Like, you know, we're losing Jorginho.
Remember the injury record and stuff like that?
We're losing Jorginho. Right, he's not going to be a regular. I don't think eventually. Like, you know, he's 31 years of age, but for the next couple of years, doing what Jorginho's doing. But I just think it's just a massive improvement. You know, we don't have to look for nobody else. If just imagine, like, you've got Thomas Partey coming in with Zubimendi, can not have to be rushed into the team and everything like that. He can come in. And at the end of it, when you've got Champions League games and league games coming up, you're putting Thomas Partey in there 1 week and then maybe in the Champions League or the Premier League, and then you're taking him out and bringing in Zubimendi or whoever's in there, it isn't a drop-off. And I do think that that is what we've got to get to at this stage, you know. So, and also we can play right back as well, Rob. Like, you know what I mean? So,
you hate him at right back.
I know I hate him at right back, like, you know what I mean? But I think he could be a magnificent squad player for us. And I do think that we need that. Squad players, by the way, are so disrespected. But if you haven't got them, you won't win anything.
Yeah.
And I can go back to when Arsenal under George Graham, we had a player called Kevin Richardson.
Yep.
Who come in and was fantastic for Arsenal for a couple of years. You know what I mean? Like, wasn't a regular, but when he come in, he done a job. If he isn't there, then we don't win those. We don't win the league that year. You know what I mean? You can go through a lot of time. Like Christopher Ray come in, like never going to be a starter, but contributed, was a squad player. Like Perry Groves, fantastic squad player for us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they get the respect they deserve.
Yeah.
Trossard, fantastic squad player. Yeah. Like, you know, Ben White may have to become a squad player, like, you know what I mean, for us with Timber. So what? Kivior, proving what a good squad player he is because he's come in and done a job for us. You know, Marino will be a squad player. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, Martinelli may become a squad player. Who knows? But like, what I'm saying is, you need those players. Yeah, you need those players in a football club.
You can argue nowadays, right? You're not even it's not even like
it's not like it was back in those days.
Some of those players that you named out, Richardson and Perry Groves and that, they were not going to start if certain players weren't injured. They had no chance of starting. Whereas the way in which the game is now, you as a so-called squad player, you was going to start a lot of games if you
100%.
Deliver. You know, because players get rested, rotation happens a lot, and then there's just so many games. There's so much competition. So, there's so many different competitions. So you might say, right, I'm going to play Thomas Partey on Saturday, I'm going to play Zubimendi in the Champions League, or vice versa. You know, I agree with you. It's a no-brainer. He's experienced. Yeah. He's fit at the moment. He's been arguably one of our best players this season. He's 100%. Been consistently good. You know, he looks like he's got a bit of pace back. Maybe the fact that he's had a couple of years out through injury has rejuvenated him, and, you know, he's got a couple of years left. I think especially if they could sign him on that sort of 1 year with an option to renew, for me, that'd be perfect. You've got a player in there of his experience, of his quality, of his just all-round ability, and he's a very good team player. It's an absolute no-brainer. And like you said, right, Zubimendi's going to be coming into the Premier League. It's not an easy league to come into. If you can come in where you ain't just thrown into the deep end straight away, especially in that position, where, you know, you're going to be expected to have a lot of the ball, you're going to get pressed a lot by teams, I think it's perfect. Yeah. You're under the wing of Thomas Partey, and for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I would love to see it happen. I would love to see that, you know, there's been rumours of teams over in Saudi Arabia. There's been rumours of even Atletico Madrid wanting him back. But for me, if they could get that done, it makes perfect sense.
And, you know, if they don't get it done, they've got to replace two very, very experienced players, and that's another thing. You know, Jorginho comes in, doesn't play every week, but when he does come in, does a good job, got experience, of know-how and all that. Like same with Thomas Partey. You're taking two well-experienced players out of the squad and replacing them with players that have not got that experience. So, like, yes, Jorginho, I understand that he's getting to that age and all that, like, but Thomas Partey's still got a couple more years to give, and hopefully with the Arsenal.
Yeah, I want to ask you guys out there, right? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Should Arsenal sign Thomas Partey to a new deal? Should they be offering him a 2-year deal? Because what I've been told, if he's offered a 2-year deal, he's definitely going to stay. Because obviously he's looking for job security right now. You know what I mean? He's 31. You know what I mean? That would take him up to 33. Probably looking at it and saying to himself, I've got a good 3 years left in it. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Should Arsenal offer him a 2-year deal? Or for you, is the perfect scenario that one with a 1-year deal with the option of adding on another? But what do you guys think? Would you sign Thomas Partey to a new contract? It's very, very interesting, but that was a rumour that broke yesterday from David Ornstein about Thomas Partey possibly getting a new contract. I got another one for you, Lee, right? What about this one? Kevin De Bruyne of Manchester City. Now, De Bruyne, it was announced a few weeks ago that he's definitely leaving at the end of the season. Pep's come out and said it. You know, I mean, you've even seen the game he was playing the other day. He got clapped off by the away fans, like where they were saying, well done for, the away fans are showing appreciation for such a great player that he's been. It sort of seemed that he was going, it was like a mutual thing. But it's kind of turning out now that from all the talk that's coming out of Kevin De Bruyne's camp, that he's a bit unhappy about the way this has been handled and that he wasn't looking to leave, and he's been a bit surprised that Manchester City have decided to let him go. He's available on a free contract at the end of the season. He's 33 years of age. He's had a lot of injury problems, but last few games you've seen him, recent games you've seen him playing for Manchester City, he's really, really good. He himself has come out and said, I'm feeling fit now. It's the first time in a long time I'm playing without pain. So could there be life in Kevin De Bruyne yet? Right? Let's just remind you of his record, right? Premier League appearances to date, 284 appearances, 71 goals, 119 assists. He's won the Premier League 5 times. He's won the Champions League. He's won the FA Cup. He's won the Carabao Cup. He's won the Super. He's won everything. Absolutely everything. He's still playing for Belgium. He's won the Playmaker Award 3 times. He's equalled Thierry Henry's assist record. He's still got unbelievable quality. And the rumours is that he's up for staying in the Premier League. Even saw a rumour that Aston Villa are having discussions about possibly making him an offer at the end of the season. And remember, there'd be no transfer fee. It'd just be wages. He is on, I think he's on about 400 grand a week at Manchester City. But I'm sure he'd probably drop that. And then remember, you ain't going to have no fee. Would you maybe go and sign him for 2 years? Or do you look on it and just say, the guy's injury prone, he's done, he's finished. He was a great player. You start to look at your Raheem Sterlings and think, yeah, we thought he was a great player, but we haven't got the same. You know what I mean? Where do you stand on it? Because, we've seen Liverpool give new contracts to Van Dijk and to Salah, who've been brilliant this season.
They're at that age.
They're at that sort of age. And look how good they did. Liverpool's best players. Kevin De Bruyne.
Do you know what?
You were talking about Odegaard earlier and saying that Odegaard, our levels have dropped and that. Odegaard competing with De Bruyne.
Well, what a great squad player he'd be to have in the squad as well. Like, I don't think he'd be a regular starter.
Experienced.
Yeah. And like Martin Odegaard's going through a real rough patch at the moment. Like, we're bringing on De Bruyne.
Or De Bruyne starts.
Or De Bruyne starts and Odegaard has to sit out one of those two. Like, I also think that you brought... Listen, we've gone on about Sterling has not worked. Jorginho has worked. That's been a very, very good signing for us.
That's true.
Right? Do you know what I mean?
That's true.
Like, so bringing in De Bruyne would give us the experience, of the know-how, how to do it. He obviously knows Arteta, etc. I think it would be a good move.
You up for it?
I'm up for that. You know what I mean? Like, just someone...
33 though. And has had a lot of injury problems.
You ain't going to get a prime player coming in and saying, right, yeah, I'll be a backup to Odegaard or I'll compete with Odegaard. You know what I mean? Like, or a Saka, because he can play out wide as well. Because... those players are going to go to be regular. He knows he's not going to play week in, week out. Probably he knows he can't play week in, week out. So one game a week would suit him. You know what I mean? And Arsenal could pick and choose which game that would be. And also, I think it would up Odegaard's performances, because at this moment in time he's got no competition, because everybody keeps saying, why is Odegaard playing at this moment in time? It's because I've got no one. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, if Odegaard was playing now, say we had De Bruyne now, you know, who would you be playing? You'd be playing De Bruyne, like, you know, and Odegaard's all right, I've got to up my game. So, free transfer, you know, I think I'd be in the conversations. I'd be in the mix for it. Why not?
I was thinking the same thing. I'm looking at it, I'm like, the guy, his experience, his quality. I mean, he's done it enough times against us. Yeah, that age, 33, yeah, he's had a lot of injuries. Yeah, you can point to certain older players that have come back that ain't like, because you said Jorginho, that has worked, but look at Gundogan coming back at City.
Yeah,
he ain't worked at all, isn't it? It can be really strange how you can see a player of real quality,
yeah, it's just dropped,
and then all of a sudden it's gone. That's what I think I've seen in Sterling this year. The player of real quality, and then all of a sudden
you're finished.
But I don't know, with De Bruyne, the fact that you'd be able to, like you said, you'd be able to manage his minutes.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to play all the time. If you could get those wages down and get him to... Remember, there's no transfer fee, because they're going to have to get... I feel they need to buy another midfielder.
Yeah, help that low block as well, like breaking down that low block if he was coming. Even if it was like 20 minutes to go from the end at the Emirates, 20 minutes to come on, you got him and Odegaard doing what they're doing. You can't, you know, like... You know, but, you know, I would certainly be looking at the situation.
Midfield, like, you could have a game, you know, you could have a midfield, Partey, Declan Rice, De Bruyne.
Yeah. And like, I don't think it should be dismissed, like, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't dismiss the Jorginho one.
Yeah, and the thing is, the age thing, like you said, is that it's not always the case that because someone's...
And it could, like, you know, might be like a refreshing sort of thing for him coming to a different environment as well.
Yeah. Played under Arteta. You're having it, innit?
I'm not against it. I'll tell you that now. But again, we put that in the comments. If people, you know, I'll be surprised if people are against it. I get the.
Had a lot of injuries though.
Yeah. I'm not saying it'd be a regular starter for Arsenal. You know what I mean? But doing what he's doing at Man City, coming in, coming off, a few games here, a few games there, manage his games. What a player to bring in is, you know, like for instance, Odegaard's not playing well at the moment, right? De Bruyne, you're in.
All right.
Well,
okay.
I'm up for it.
Lee's up for it. Are you guys up for it out there? I want to hear from you guys, right? Kevin De Bruyne, a KDB, in an Arsenal shirt. Would you have that? As I said, Villa are apparently debating whether to go in for him. He is going to be available on a free at the end of the season. We know that for sure. City have already said he's definitely leaving. As I said, he ain't too happy about it because he wanted to stay. He still feels he's got something to offer in the Premier League. Would you have Kevin De Bruyne at Arsenal? Want to hear from you guys. Lee, before we go, we got to talk about it, man. It's the big one. Tuesday night, Paris Saint-Germain visit the Emirates. It ain't going to be the atmosphere that we witnessed at Brentford, at, you know, Crystal Palace. It's going to be the atmosphere that we witnessed at Real Madrid game in the first leg. The place is going to be electric. There's going to be a lot of belief as well from the fans that they can do this. But Paris Saint-Germain are a very, very good side.
Unbelievable.
They have been playing some scintillating football. They dispatched of Liverpool really impressively, like over the two legs. Like Liverpool didn't lay a glove on them, a bit like what we've done at Real Madrid. They've got brilliant forward players. Ousmane Dembele having the season of his life. Now that the other sort of Galactico type players around him are gone, he's been playing wonderfully well. You know, they've got players like Kvaratskhelia, who they bought in January. He's been absolutely brilliant. They bought him in from Napoli. You know, Vitinha in midfield, Barcola, Doué. I mean, they're just stacked with attacking talent. And the two fullbacks, brilliant. Hakimi on one side, loves to get up and down. Lots and lots of quality scored against Villa. And then the other wing, Nuno Mendes, who completely locked off Mo Salah over the two legs. And they got a big Donnarumma in goal.
Mate, unbelievable.
I mean, listen, they've got a very, very good squad. You could argue that they are a better team than Real Madrid.
I think they are a better team.
Right?
Maybe not individually, but as a team, better.
However, in the last game, first leg, all over Aston Villa. But Aston Villa scored first in that game.
Yeah.
Broke away, scored. They did go on to win it 3-1. And then in the second leg, they nearly capitulated, hanging on at the end, even though they were 2-0 up.
That's the encouragement. That's the encouragement for me. I look back at the Liverpool game. Yeah, they dominated Liverpool. But Liverpool still got a result out there, didn't they? They beat them. They beat them 1-0. Like, you know what I mean? And were totally outclassed. In the second game, it was a lot tight, but they done the job again. But I see vulnerabilities against Villa. You know,
which are?
Well, that if Konsa scores that goal, they're out. They're gone.
There was two chances. There was a Konsa one. There was also another one where Asensio was through.
Yes.
Remember? And
The goalkeeper made a good save.
Yeah.
Donnarumma made Donnarumma, whatever his name is. He made 3 outstanding saves on that day.
Yeah.
And there was that thing which is a great thing for us, is that PSG said, right, we're sitting here. They couldn't handle it. They could not sit in there. They had to. Once it was getting dodgy, then they went back and played a little bit, and then they got a little bit of the grip back on the game. But sit back and defend, they couldn't do it, and they was all over the shop. So there's something in that, like, you know. We beat them 2-0 earlier on in the season. That still has something to go for it.
Bit of a different team there.
It is a different team, but still,
I think Dembele didn't play in that game.
Still, it's 2-0.
Yeah.
Still, psychologically, you know, I bite your hands off for a 2-0 now, like, you know. And the other thing is that Turkish said to me this morning on the Forever Arsenal, this would be his third Champions League semi-final, and it'd be my third Champions League semi-final as well, supporting Arsenal.
Yeah.
How limited we are on that.
I know, it's
really.
crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it.
What was the first one? United, wasn't it?
Villarreal.
No, there's Villarreal. What was the other one then?
United.
Yeah, Man United.
Yeah, so Villarreal was the first one. You know, when we Lehmann last minute penalty save. The Man United game, they humbled us both games.
Yeah.
And this one, so like, it's just the third one. Only 3 semi-finals.
Crazy, isn't it?
Mad. So that's how big a game this is.
You've got two teams who've never won it.
Never won
but the expectations are they should have won it. Right? You've seen a PSG over the years, they've thrown loads and loads of money at it. They've gone with a different model this year, and they're getting closer.
Is there pressure on them for that?
There's pressure on both teams. I think the pressure is equal on both teams. Pressure's on them because they've never won it, and they should have won it with the amount of money that they've invested into trying to win it. And there's pressure on us because for a big club like us to never have won it as well, Chelsea have won it, United have won it, you know what I mean, like, you know, City have won it. There's pressure on us to win it as well. Liverpool, of course, have won it. So I think there's pressure on both teams because you're in a semi-final, you're in touching distance. It's huge. It's who's going to keep their nerve, who's going to... It's an exciting game. Both games, I feel, are really, really exciting. You know, on the other side, you know, with Barcelona, Inter, it's so evenly matched. The 4 teams that are left in, I think, is really even. Any of those teams can win the Champions League this year.
How do you feel about this? Like, going into the game against Real Madrid, my expectations weren't very high, but optimistic that we could get a result. But at the end of the day, I thought that Real Madrid would go through, right? This one here, like, I feel that Arsenal... I feel like we should win it. I'm not say should win it, but I feel that we've got a better chance to win this one than Real Madrid. Like, I feel more confident.
Yeah, it's just, you know what it is though? It's because
I can't explain it.
It's the names it's the history of Real Madrid, the fact that they've 15 times won it, and those names of Mbappe, you know, Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, Bellingham. That was what scared everybody. But we have every right to have belief now, because when you really analyse it, it's whether PSG are better than Real Madrid or not, that's to be debated. But what we do know, they're similar in that both teams are, from an attacking sense, are deadly, right? And we just contained a Real Madrid, a deadly attacking team, over 2 legs. We only conceded 1 goal.
Yeah.
That is why we should go into this game with confidence to know that we can contain an all-out attacking team like a PSG.
I'll ask you this question because, like, you know, I see Rio Ferdinand the other day, like, don't really listen to what he's got to say really because he's Man United, but like he's saying, oh, PSG are favourites to win, despite what we've done against Real Madrid. Who would you say is favourite? Do you feel that we are, or?
I'd say it's so even because they.
You know, you said like
you
we
know
give
what
us
it is, right?
6. You got slagged off for saying we got 40%.
Yeah.
What are you saying for this one?
This one's 50.
50-50.
This is 50-50 game, right?
Over 2 legs.
Over the 2 legs, it's a 50-50 game, right? Because
making me bloody nervous.
I look on it, Lee, right, and both teams have done something, right? What was so impressive, right? That dismantling, which is what it was, of Real Madrid over 2 legs, was so impressive. The way we played, the way we dominated Real Madrid, the way we quelled their threats are so impressive. Real Madrid were the hot favourites and we easily beat them. But then they did the same thing with Liverpool. Liverpool went into that game against PSG. Nobody gave PSG a chance.
No, they didn't.
Did they?
That's true. That is
right?
true.
And over the 2 legs, they dismantled. They kept Salah. I've never seen him that quiet. They completely marked him out of the game. And they just stepped to Liverpool. Like, I've not seen no team do that to Liverpool this season. So both teams have got that where they can call upon and say, right, you know, look what we did. And they can turn around and say, look what we did to Liverpool. The one thing where I just looking at it, I think it was that Villa game. The first leg, I was thinking, wow, they're at it again, man. Because even when Villa scored, it was complete against the run of play.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, they're out again 3-1, and they deserved that 3-1. But in that second leg, man, the minute Villa started to turn on the heat,
yeah, they couldn't handle it.
I just looked on it and I was like, hey, they're wilting a bit.
Well, we was watching it together. We said like,
we was watching it over.
We said that
we was in Spain watching it.
We said if we was going to, pitch the scene. We said like, that they'd scored. We said, oh well, we'll go out for dinner now.
They were 2-0 up.
Yeah, so we said we ain't going to bother watching the game. And then we said, in the end, we ended up staying and watching the game.
Yeah.
And we was all saying, if Villa get the next goal, that's it.
Yeah, they were wilting. They were wilting. They were very. If they hadn't have had that 2-goal lead, I think Villa would have went through.
Yeah,
so that bodes well for Arsenal. That bodes well for Arsenal, but it's an even game, man. It's an even game. That first leg is so important. Is it an advantage anymore? I know we were moaning before and saying first leg, second leg. Is it an advantage now that there's no away goals?
No, 100%.
To have the second leg away?
100%. I do believe there wasn't a big advantage if there was the away goal rule. I don't think there's no advantage now.
Although, what you could say is that second leg is still a slight advantage because if it goes to extra time.
Yeah, there is that. But like you can get
extra
the job
time
done.
Penalties is
Barcelona got the job done in the first leg, won it. You know what I mean? Like we done it in the first leg, won it. Like you know what I mean? Tottenham went away from home and won it. You know what I mean? Like so, at the end of the day, I do think it's evened it out a little bit more. Like you know?
Yeah, the no away goals thing. I mean, we were the only team in the last round to win both our games.
There was vulnerability for every team other than us.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a good feeling. I mean, listen, it's.
What's your prediction in the score?
2-0.
I'll tell you, I'll bite your hand up with that.
Well, do they not score though? The way they
no, let's come on, like you know. I want 3-0.
No, listen. If we could win 3-0.
I don't think we will, but 2-0. Well, we've got to take a lead there, whatever happens.
Got to take a lead.
If we win 2-0, Oh, don't. You might start.
You know, right? I'm nervous about this game already. The game, I mean, because our whole season on it. This could turn out to be a glorious season if we could win this thing. And we deserve something for. Do you know what I was thinking about the other day? I was like, for the last 3 seasons.
No, you got to earn it, Rob.
You got to earn it. But I'm just like, for all the work that we've done to, what Arteta's done, improve this team, has got us challenging again in the league, and it would be fitting to win.
Yeah, they've got to go and do
this.
it. It's this, they've got the opportunity.
It would be a turning point for this football club. Narratives would change on this football club.
Oh.
Narratives would change.
You know what I mean? Like, it will be history. You know what I mean? We've never won it. You know what I mean? Like, we've come close once. We've got bloody sent off. Lehman got sent off.
Yeah, I was there.
And we should have won that game. Still
gives me nightmares.
Good chances. The game against Man United was never in it.
Nah.
Never in it.
Do you remember? I remember that United game. Was it the second leg? And I remember going to the game and saying, "Yeah, man, what we got to do, just like sit in for the first 10 minutes." And I think it was Ronaldo. He scored right at the start of the game.
I knew we lost that when we lost 1-0 up at Old Trafford because it was the away goal rule there. Sylvester scored, didn't he? Like, you know what I mean? It was a poor performance.
Yeah, and then he scored that goal. That's it. Yeah, under the away goals. That's it.
It was done. It was done. You know what I mean? So we'll have to wait and see.
But this game is absolutely. This is the biggest game for Arsenal in years. I mean, we've said that about the Real Madrid game. This one is up on that level as well. The whole world will be watching. What's your prediction?
2-0. 2-0, 3-1.
Who do you think is going to be the key player in this game for Arsenal?
Saka.
Yeah.
Saka.
I also feel
I got a little bit slagged off by saying that people saying, because I said that Declan Rice is our best player. I'm looking at it because I was a midfield player and whatever, like, you know what I mean? I do think but Saka is our match winner. They're 2 different players, but like Saka is the one, the moments man.
I'll tell you what, right?
And when it matters,
I think there's certain players are we know Saka. The 2 fullbacks have got a big game ahead, right? Because they do a lot of their work out
confident
wide.
in them.
I'm on about PSG, and then they've got those guys in Mendes.
We can lock them down.
They got Mendes and they got Hakimi flying down those wings, right? Those 2, Timber and Mars Lewis Skelly, are going to have a really.
And if they are flying.
Game. Right,
Martinelli comes in.
Mikel Merino is going to have a big game, right?
Where are you playing Mikel Merino?
He's going to have to play where Rice plays, I guess, because what else can you do? I mean, Rice is going to have to be in that 6. It's a shame because we're going to lose.
I think we lose a lot of energy from that.
Sorry?
I think we lose a lot of energy from that. I'm worried about that. I think that you're right, he will go.
But where else? What are we going to do? It's PSG. You've got to have somebody in that holding position that's going to protect that back 4.
Yeah, I agree.
So Marino's going to have to be that guy that's going to have to step up. You can't do what Rice does with the driving and stuff like that, but he's going to have to step up. And I feel like there's going to be a role for Timber or Skelly inverting into midfield and maybe driving through. But then they've got to be careful because you don't want to get caught out because of those wide players that they've got at PSG. But we can get at their defence. That first leg is all important. The atmosphere, as we said, if we can get an early goal, if we can get a goal in that game, based off what we saw in that Villa game, because literally every game I've seen recently of PSG, they've been on top from the beginning. Bang! On top of teams. On top of Liverpool, they were on top of Villa. What if we can get on top of them early?
There will be a moment when we do, and that's when we've got to take that advantage. I think
it's a big game, man.
We'll have them. Have we got enough to take them?
It's a big game.
Massive. This is what we want, though, Rob. Listen, we won't be sitting here falling asleep on Tuesday like we have done for most of those games. It'll be like.
There ain't going to be nobody putting their ticket on Ticket Exchange.
Everybody wants to go.
Other people saying that they've seen tickets at 2-3 grand.
Yeah, mad, isn't it?
It's mad,
isn't it? Huge, massive game.
Massive game.
Massive game.
So you think we go through?
Yeah. I'm confident.
What about the other leg?
What?
Barcelona, Inter.
I've got a funny feeling for Inter.
They're a good side.
I think, like, you know, their kryptonite is...
It's also Barcelona, innit? Like, they blew Dortmund away in the first game. In the second game, they were 3-1.
Yeah,
3-1, wasn't it?
It's
Like,
at Barcelona first as well, isn't it? So that'll
Yeah.
be really interesting, like, you know. I think if what's the word I'm looking for? If it's sentimental or whatever, I want a Barcelona Arsenal final. But I've just got this feeling that Inter, you know, like the defensive side of them will see through.
Yeah. Well, we cannot wait, people.
Hold on, before we go, production, have you got that photo? Joe, you got that photo?
What photo?
Oh, I don't know if you're going to shave it. Like,
What's he got? What's he got?
Right. Ryan, you there? Right.
What's that?
This is you bullying me again, like, you know what I mean? Like,
What
you know,
is
when I
that?
need to have these sort of things going in. The week before, it was. The week before,
that was the Ipswich,
the week before, it was like my goal offside when it was never offside, and you know what I mean, no credit. And then I have a photo done, and you do that to me, like, you know what I mean, like, what is going on, like, you know what I mean, is there an agenda against me or something, like, you know what I mean?
You look better like that. That's like you look like you're doing the Jokeres celebration. You know what I mean?
It's got to stop, like, you know what I mean, it's got to stop, Robbie.
How's that
like.
Ipswich, isn't it?
Yeah. Look at that. That's so out of order, like, you know what I mean?
The Jokeres celebrate. I mean, you should celebrate. I mean, when you got your cup final, celebrate
just go like that,
when you win.
Yeah,
that's a new celebration.
Yeah, that's
like,
my new
completely
celebration.
online,
I'll do that when we win. I'll
Yeah?
do a new celebration, like, yeah.
If you get a penalty or anything.
Yeah, we do that.
No,
Like,
remember, you know.
I'll remember it. Like,
All right,
I'll
all right.
remember it, like, you know.
Well, anyway, listen, we come to the end of the show today. Listen, guys, it's huge. It's absolutely massive. Arsenal versus PSG. I cannot tell you how big this game is. We have got it covered. We're going to be at the Box Park in Wembley. We did the last two legs at Shoreditch. We're going to even bigger venue this time.
Wow.
The Box Park at Wembley. That is where we're going to be doing our watch party for the game. So get down there. If you want more details, log on to their website and find out about all the details for that big watch party. Arsenal versus PSG, both legs, first and second leg. Book your spaces from right now. We're going to be down there as well, interviewing fans as well at the Box Park in Wembley. Of course, we're also going to be at the game at the Emirates Stadium and also over there in Paris as well. Got it fully covered. We've got previews coming out. We're linking up with the guys from the PSG channel, Prison Londoner. So we're going to get some great insight into PSG as well. So make sure you check out all of the previews leading up to the game. But it's absolutely massive. Arsenal versus PSG, Champions League semi-final, first leg. It's the biggest game of the season for Arsenal. Let's hope we can win it. Lee, have yourself a great weekend. We've got no game this weekend.
No game.
Chill out.
Chill out weekend, and then get ready for the
Roller coaster ride.
Roller coaster. Come on, you guys.
And guys, don't forget Huel.
Yes.
All right, so get your drinks in right now. Links in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.